Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Bullseye has returned to the MCU in Daredevil. Born again, but it's now clear that Marvel Studios dropped a major setup for his character. I'm so glad we got to see Bullseye back in full force in two action-packed Daredevil Born Again episodes. Wilson Bethel's take on the deeply disturbed Benjamin Dex Poindexter was one of the best performances in the MCU when he debuted in Daredevil Season 3, and to bring him back in Daredevil Born Again Episode 1 in such a consequential way was incredibly satisfying to watch. Bethel's performance is a largely comic-faithful take on the character, who is also a deeply disturbed and sadistic Marvel villain. He is also exceptionally dangerous, as evidenced by Daredevil Born Again Episode 8, which demonstrated his recklessness when armed with any object. He is, however, proven to be far from indestructible, being beaten and nearly killed, twice so frequently in his appearances in Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again. If Marvel Studios had decided to lean into a more comic-accurate depiction, however, then Bullseye might have been much more formidable. Instead, the franchise forced itself into a difficult situation. Daredevil Season 3's ending set up a massive Bullseye story that Marvel abandoned. Bullseye's adamantium story was nearly adapted. Before Daredevil Born Again, Bullseye was last seen in Daredevil Season 3, where he partook in the high-octane climactic three-way fight between himself, Daredevil, and Kingpin. Dex was hospitalized after getting his back broken by Fisk. This was his final moment in the series. This scene shows Dex being operated on by Daroyama, with surgeons discussing the experimental process of bonding cognium to Dex's spine to help heal and reinforce it. Dex's eyes then open, and a target is reflected in one of them. In Marvel Comics, Bullseye is subjected to a similar process as Wolverine, with his skeleton being bonded with adamantium, the Marvel Universe's strongest metal. In fact, Daroyama is the character responsible for developing the adamantium bonding process, which he intended to use on Bullseye before enlisting his services as an assassin. The parallels between this comic book story and Daredevil are clear, as Oyama operates on Bullseye after he suffers a broken spine. Nevertheless, Marvel's timeline might have made adapting this specific story impossible. The MCU timeline made Bullseye's adamantium bones impossible. Adamantium has been discovered years after Bullseye's operation. Daredevil Season 3 was released in 2018, 1 year before Disney acquired Fox and regained complete cinematic control of its mutants in the X-Men. This means Daredevil was prevented from adapting adamantium into its franchise, as this is one of Wolverine's most defining characteristics. At the time, the MCU's timeline was relatively simple to discern, with the events of its mainline productions mostly taking place in the same year as when the movie or show was released. As such, Daredevil Season 3 took place in 2018. The majority of Daredevil Born Again takes place nearly a decade later, in 2027, thanks in part to the 5-year time jump of Avengers Endgame. Captain America Brave New World, which also took place around 2027, first discovered adamantium in the corpse of Tiamat the Celestial. Taken together, Marvel Studios seems to have precluded itself from the possibility of Bullseye receiving his adamantium infusion. He jumps back into action after Vanessa recruits him from a high-security psychiatric hospital, meaning it's even more unlikely for shady government bodies to have used the newly discovered material on him. I don't think Marvel is ever going to give Bullseye his adamantium. It wouldn't make sense to give Bullseye adamantium before a possibility that Bullseye's cognomen infusion could be replaced by the newly discovered adamantium. I don't think this is beyond the pale for Marvel to achieve if Bullseye's reinforced spine is, for instance, broken once again by Kingpin as a way to demonstrate Kingpin's strength down the line. Unfortunately, I don't think such an achievement is possible now, even if adamantium is in circulation in the MCU after Captain America: Brave New World. Adamantium is synonymous with Wolverine, not Bullseye, and it is unlikely that the MCU will utilize it on a comparatively minor character like Bullseye first. Daredevil. Born Again Season 2, meanwhile, is due to be released next year. While Bullseye may be loose in New York as of Daredevil, Born Again Episode 8, I find it hard to believe that the MCU will make him the first recipient of an adamantium infusion so soon after its introduction into the franchise. By the time the MCU uses its adamantium to prop up its Wolverine story, the moment will have passed for Wilson Bethel's Bullseye to get his share. The much-anticipated series Daredevil, Born Again marked the return of several beloved characters from the Netflix series, which previously explored the darker nuances of Hell's Kitchen. Among these characters, the enigmatic Bullseye stands out. Originally portrayed by the fiercely talented Wilson Bethel, Bullseye was a formidable adversary in Season 3 of Daredevil and was poised to bring a menacing presence to the new series. However, Marvel made a surprising decision to eventually sideline this complex villain in favor of new narrative directions. The creative reasoning behind this choice could shed light on the rich tapestry of storytelling that Marvel is weaving in its ongoing cinematic saga. Bullseye, an antagonist with depth. It's crucial to re-examine what initially made Bullseye such a compelling character in order to understand why Marvel seemed to overlook his narrative arc. In the comics, Bullseye is not just a mindless killer. He is a character marked by obsession, a twisted sense of humor, and a pathological commitment to his craft. He's an assassin who can turn anything into a deadly projectile, which makes him terrifyingly unpredictable. He becomes a dark mirror to Daredevil Matt Murdock, where Daredevil fights for justice, Bullseye revels in chaos. The Netflix series effectively explored this dynamic, showcasing how Bullseye's razor-sharp intellect and brutal methods created tension, not only in his battles with Daredevil, but also in Matt's moral journey. Unfortunately, despite this fantastic build-up, the Born Again series chose not to dive deeper into this character's complexities, a move that puzzled fans and critics alike. Narrative overlap and new directions. One potential reason behind the sidelining of Bullseye could be narrative overload. Marvel is currently facing a critical juncture, as the multiverse is rapidly expanding and numerous plot lines are intricately interwoven across various series and films. Introducing a character as layered as Bullseye requires careful consideration, especially since his narrative overlaps significantly with both Daredevil's and Kingpin's existing arcs. Marvel Studios has a history of concluding unresolved issues and prioritizing succinct storytelling, especially in a universe characterized by a multitude of interwoven narratives. Introducing Bullseye in a thoughtful way might have veered the focus away from the series' primary themes, reinventing Daredevil and exploring his moral dilemmas in a rapidly changing world. By choosing to streamline the story, Marvel can delve into the duality of Murdock's character without the added complication of a villain whose presence could risk overshadowing this for fresh threats. Another striking reason for dropping a more prominent Bullseye storyline is the opportunity to introduce fresh threats that align with the tone and themes Marvel is currently nurturing. The narrative landscape of the MCU has shifted towards nuanced, multifaceted antagonists that diverge from the conventional models of villainy we have seen in the past. Instead of creating yet another cycle of revenge and chaos with Bullseye, Marvel has the opportunity to explore more unconventional villains, paving the way for unexpected confrontations. The series reintroduces the Kingpin and expands on the complexities of street-level crime in New York. While Bullseye is certainly a dangerous adversary, Positioning him alongside characters like the Kingpin creates opportunities for intricate power dynamics and rivalry. Such an arrangement allows for the re-examination of familiar stories while introducing unique antagonists that resonate with modern audiences. New villains can bring fresh perspectives, challenges, and questions surrounding morality that can further enrich Daredevil's narrative. Playing with audience expectations. The decision to tone down or sideline Bullseye also plays into the broader strategy of subverting audience expectations, a potent tool in Marvel's storytelling arsenal. Fans have been clamoring for the return of Bullseye since the character's inception in the Netflix universe, especially after his formidable performance in Season 3. However, by withholding a prominent storyline for him in Born Again, Marvel cleverly maintains an air of unpredictability that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. This tactic enhances the suspense of future installments, creating a lingering curiosity about how Bullseye may reemerge at a later date. Marvel can control the narrative tempo by keeping the character in the background, which lays the groundwork for unexpected future payoffs. Exploring internal struggles over external threats. Marvel has been increasingly focused on internal conflict rather than solely relying on external threats. For Daredevil, his battle to reconcile his identity as both a lawyer and a vigilant is a profound and personal storyline. Instead of creating a conventional confrontation with Bullseye, the series emphasizes Matt Murdock's internal struggles and ethical dilemmas. This choice enriches the character's arc, offering a more layered exploration of what it means to be a hero in a world filled with gray areas. By sidelining Bullseye, Marvel allows for deeper character development, inviting viewers to grapple with the moral ambiguity that defines the essence of Daredevil. The real villain often lies within, much like Matt's own fight to control his darker impulses. While Bullseye might serve as a physical manifestation of these struggles, the internal conflict will ultimately carry greater emotional weight. Conclusion: the future of Bullseye in the MCU. While Bullseye may have been sidelined in Daredevil, Born Again, this decision is less about dismissing the character and more about positioning him for future narrative opportunities. As Marvel continues to explore the depths of its multifaceted characters, the potential for Bullseye to resurface in a more meaningful and complex way remains tantalizing. Marvel Studios is tapping into the cinematic philosophy of gradual buildup, where characters are introduced, explored, and then possibly redeemed or transformed over several arcs. The choices made in Born Again may leave Bullseye lingering in the shadows, an ever-present reminder of impending chaos. As we look toward the future, viewers await the possible revival of Bullseye's character, perhaps as an unforeseen ally, an even more dangerous adversary, or a complicated figure that merges into the broader narrative tapestry of the MCU. Marvel's gradual and nuanced storytelling provides the perfect stage for such an evolution, ensuring that when Bullseye returns, he will do so with the weight and complexity that allows a character of his caliber to truly shine.